Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on boosting Postgres performance tools and techniques for optimization. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Annie, your host, with Semab Tariq as the speaker for our webinar. Infrastructure is expensive even if you're using the cloud. If you're not fully utilizing your Postgres database, then chances are your application is compromising on performance. To maximize your ROI, it is critical for your business to optimize your PostgreSQL database for your workloads. And our session today is all about that. We recommended tools and practical techniques that can give your database the boost it requires without breaking the bank. So before we start the session, let me share a few housekeeping items. As always, the webinar is being recorded and the recording will be shared afterwards. Feel free to use the Q&A feature or the webinar chat box for your queries. We'll have a Q&A session at the end of the session. That's all from my end. Over to you, Sima.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Annie. So yeah, welcome everyone in today's learning session, which is about in which we are going to talk about how you can actually enhance your performance of your database, and we will going to talk about a couple of techniques that we can use to boost Postgres performance. Before we actually get started, a little bit about me. So the name is Semab Tariq, and I work as a Postgres consultant at Stormatics. In my career, I have worked in different Postgres related companies that include Second Quadrant and Enterprise DB. My range of expertise include DevOps and a combination of DevOps and Postgres expertise. But now currently I'm fully focused on providing professional services for Postgres that include higher availability, performance tuning, monitoring backups and implementing backups and disaster recovery solutions. And apart from my professional life, I love playing and watching football. And I used to follow the Spanish La Liga, and Real Madrid is my favorite team. So let's get started with the topic. This is a kind of an agenda about what we are going to talk in today's session. So first of all, we will see what is actually meant by performance and why it is needed. Then we are going to talk about different strategies to enhance the performance of our database. And then we will talk about a couple of extensions and monitoring tools that we can use to monitor our databases and eventually to enhance the performance of our databases. And finally, we will talk about some best practices for performance. And finally, we will have a question and answer session after this presentation. So first thing first, what is actually meant by performance? So in database world, performance actually refers as how effectively a database system process our queries and execute the operations. So it's all about optimizing the available resources on our system and making the system so that it can deliver faster and reliable responses to all the queries that are coming to from the end users. So performance actually matters because it actually enhances the user experience. It actually helps us to scale our systems so that we can handle more amount of data in our databases. And so a better performing system can reduce the need of additional hardware and resources. Eventually, it will help us in saving the cost. And of course, finally, a well-optimized database can reduce the risk of outage and failures, eventually helping us achieving business continuity. So having a better performing system is really needed is really needed in today's mission critical apps. So let's now talk about what are the challenges of we can face of poor database performance. So first of all, we can have slow response time. Now, because of poor database performance, we can always expect delays in our query execution, and eventually it will slow down the application. And of course, it will have a negative impact on customer satisfaction. Number two is resource overload. Now, in case of poor performing database, it will of course consume more CPU and consume more memory, and it will have direct impact on cost as well. Uh, Poor performance can lead to achieving can lead to scaling difficulties as well. We cannot achieve our targeted missions. And finally, if our system is performing very poorly, it will of course have errors, crashes, and downtimes, and maybe it will lead us to operational risks as well. Let's now talk about what are the common performance bottlenecks we face in our day-to-day life in databases, or especially in Postgres. So first of all, we have insufficient or unplanned queries. So if our SQL queries are insufficient or unplanned, then it will eventually lead us to high CPU